Simon Marks is in Washington, D.C. I might just shut up for a while, Simon, and give the floor to you.
Well, James, I suppose in many ways the big news of the last few hours is that Secretary of State Marco Rubio has completely walked back and indeed denied ever claiming that it was the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu who was about to go into Iran first, and that is why the United States preemptively had to take action militarily against Iran, because they were concerned that if Israel went in first, reprisals by the Iranians would hit American military targets in the region. He says he didn't say it. We all know he did say it, but the reasons why he says he didn't say it is because his own president, a couple of hours earlier at the White House, insisted that not only was it not Israel that had forced his hand, but actually he forced Israel's hand, because of course he can never admit to playing second fiddle to anyone. I mean, at one point we were reduced yesterday to seeing Manu Raju, the excellent congressional correspondent for CNN, standing next to Marco Rubio and reading back to him verbatim the comments that he had made just 24 hours earlier on Capitol Hill, and Marco Rubio just walking all over him, not allowing him to speak, and basically getting to the point where he said, well, it doesn't matter, because what I'm telling you now is that this was the American president's decision and a determination that this was, you know, the last best option that we had. The other development of the last 24 hours, of course, is that regime change, which was off the agenda on Monday, was put back on the agenda by President Trump yesterday, but when Marco Rubio spoke on Capitol Hill 3 or 4 hours later, it was still off the agenda. So we don't really have any clearer an idea what the reasons were for the timing of the attack, what the objective is, what the end game is, but we do know that Donald Trump certainly is furious with the UK.
It's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with. UK has been very, very uncooperative with that stupid island that they have, that they gave away and took a 100-year lease, having to do with perhaps indigenous people claiming the island that never even saw the island before. What's that all about? And they ruin relationships. It's a shame.
I mean, that almost sounded at the end there as though he was burying the bilateral relationship between the United States and the UK, as Lord Mandelson's successor, Christian Turner, the new British ambassador here, spends only his second full week in the job. Sir Keir Starmer is no Winston Churchill. We can all debate that. But there's one thing I suspect we can all agree on, and that is that Donald Trump, as many people in my social media timeline were suggesting yesterday, certainly ain't no FDR.
He forgot the name of the island, didn't he?
Yes, of course. Well, at one point, when he started talking about the island, I thought he might be talking about Cyprus.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't clear at all. And then it became apparent that he was once again going on about the Chagos Islands. And there's that point in his appearance yesterday where he refers witheringly to the indigenous people of the Chagos.
Yeah, you could hear it in his voice.
You can hear the
He hates that word.
Racism
He hates that word, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, he hates those people.
Absolutely. It was astonishing.
Indigenous. You won't know this because you would have been asleep, but we opened the show this morning by explaining that in one way, none of this matters, because tomorrow he could be describing Keir Starmer as the best thing since sliced bread. And yet, of course, it matters because he is the President of the United States of America, and Keir Starmer is our Prime Minister. But you remind us that this now holds true across everything. So Rubio says the polar opposite of what he says yesterday and denies that he said yesterday. You move from we are doing regime change to we're not doing regime change to we are doing regime change. The reasons for doing it change. Everything changes, which means nothing ever gets pinned down. Journalistically, it continues to be an almost impossible challenge.
Well, and governmentally, of course, for his partners and allies in Europe, it continues to be an impossible task because you never know what is going on. It's like trying to pin jelly to the wall here. And this military action was launched... Jell-O, yeah, exactly. This military action was launched on Saturday. It's now Wednesday. There is still no cogent explanation here for what the plan is, how this ends. He was musing yesterday about who might end up governing Iran when it became apparent that regime change was back on the table. He doesn't think that the Shah's son quite cuts the mustard, but he is very interested in trying to find someone who is popular in Iran and is already there. I mean, those appear to be the two benchmarks for the next. I mean, you know, if you're popular in Iran and you're already there, come on down, especially if you look like you come from central casting, because, of course, that's why Donald Trump says personally that he's so happy with Hegseth and Dan Kane is chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That's the plan.
Speaking of Hegseth.
Yes, so there's been a very, very interesting report released by an organisation called the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, which, as its name suggests, monitors the separation of church and state and attacks on it within the military. And it has had scores of complaints since this conflict began. One combat unit commander told the Federation that the foundation that non-commissioned officers at a briefing on Monday said that the Iran war is part of God's plan and that President Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and return his and mark his return to Earth. And they've received scores of complaints from all over the military over the last several days that similar messages are being delivered. And take a listen to what Pete Hegseth said when he was asked on Monday what his prayer is for the troops.
First of all, my prayer for them is that I do pray for them. My wife prays for them. Our family prays for them. Our cabinet prays for them. None of this is done on a whim. Having been in their boots, having been in their shoes, having been in their flight suits, I know we think about them with every decision that we make and every recommendation that we make to the President of the United States. Those recommendations are made prayerfully. And when I pray every day for them and for this mission, I pray simply for the biblical wisdom to see what is right and the courage to do it.
So as we engage in a plan to topple a theocracy in Iran, we are praying for the biblical wisdom to do it the right way.
Simon Marks, thank you. Must be a different Bible from the one I read. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbour's wife or daughter. Thou shalt not kill. That's just 4 off the top of my head. I imagine the other 6 might be pertinent as well.